interview.
Absolutely. I'm going to start recording this now because this is really good stuff and I want to throw it up. So whatever we can talk about, we can cut it out later. Actually, I
Yeah,
don't cut
yeah.
things out. But yeah, I completely agree with you. And that's why I know a lot of people that actually are military people and they don't think about that. And then when they get back into civilization or, day-to-day life without being told what to do, I felt that was a great thing, especially with the mindset when he started out in high school. He had a mentor that got him started in high school to do this.
Oh
You know,
yeah. Well, mentors are absolutely everything. I had a pretty wild life, and I fell off the path a few times or whatever like that. And they say you're the average of your five best friends. Well, I realized all my friends were pretty not good people at the one point in time. So I like ran away. I legit like drove to another part of the country and started a new life. And I was like, well, if I'm the average of my five best friends and I don't know anyone, well, technically, if I read a book, that can be my friend. Like
hmm
if I read three John Maxwell books, he's kind of my buddy, right? It's like I'm
right,
going to have dinner with John Maxwell. So then all my friends started to become authors, and then I was like, oh. And then I
nice.
heard, it's a rich man has a big library and a poor man has a big TV. So me being such an extremist, I gave my TV away and I bought more books. And like I gave my TV away for a year. I just told somebody, I said, dude, come take this thing. I'm like, I need to like really put my life on
Right.
a different path. So then I got an exercise bike and I put it in my living room. And then every morning I would get up and I would read 50 pages of a book every morning. And it took
Okay.
about an hour for me to do about an hour of cardio. So over the next year, not only did I read 50 pages of a new book, so I was reading 1 to 2 books a week, I was also getting in better shape. And then it was kind of like a
Mhm.
really big, massive turning point in my life. But I was like, books and education, it's all mindset. It's the way you think. Thoughts become things. And it's super good. And I love hearing stuff like that because it's a reminder too, right?
Mhm.
A
I
reminder
agree.
that all these people that have done really good things, it's not that they have a special circumstance, it's
No.
just they thought a little bit different.
Yeah, it was the way they thought differently, the way they changed. They wanted to change. The key
Yeah,
thing there, they wanted to do
absolutely.
that.
And this is a lot of things too. I think a lot of people, they're just put in a situation where they don't believe, like maybe whether it be parents or
hmm
whatnot, like they just think this is the way it is, right?
Right.
And there's those people that are just like, no, there has to be a different way. But unfortunately, a lot of people just don't think like that. They're like, well, my parents said there was going to be this way, or my teachers did, and
hmm
that's just the way it is, or my neighborhood, that's just the way it is, right? And we need to break that the way it is cycle. And unfortunately, the education system, I think, steers us not in a path
Oh,
where it wants us to really think and take control of our own lives, right? And I believe the last couple of years, we're really through like a great, whether we call it an educational reset, just everything. Everyone's like, well, if I can't go to school, I got to learn at home. And then a lot of
right.
people are like, well, if I'm learning at home, why don't I learn the stuff that I want to learn? And then you
Exactly.
start to really like, that was really kind of one of those things where everyone's like kicking it at home and they got to like do something. And I think a lot of people are like, well, I should probably learn something. And then they're like, wait a minute, what I was taught and what I'm learning, those are two different things. What's the
Yeah.
story? And then it's like, that was the real like aha moment, I think, for a lot of people. Even me, that was in my turn. But anyways,
Oh, absolutely. Oh, speaking of that, I'm gonna get you a copy of my books so you can actually read and uh
I read through some of your books this morning.
oh, dude. Okay.
I got three computer screens here, so I was going through. Well, I wanted to browse through to see what you had, and I like a lot of things that you're touching on there because the education, right? Like
hmm
we just need to learn this stuff.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. Like I never did the mutual fund things because I was late to the party when it comes to understanding finances. By the time I understood finances, I was 38 years old. It was like 2.5 years ago.
hmm
And my first thing is when I learned about crypto, and then I'm like, well, why is crypto even here? And then you start to learn about the old system, and
Right.
and then I realized I'm like, I don't even know. I didn't know that if I had $100 now, it wouldn't be worth $100 next year. I just
Mhm.
thought I worked in oil and gas. I had a good career in oil and gas, and I always had a pretty decent paycheck, and things were always good, right? There was always money
Right.
coming in, and I never really thought about what is money. And then all of a sudden, I stopped through the COVID thing, and I had a lot of time. And then I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, what? You mean my money's not worth this much next year? What?
No.
Why didn't they tell us this? And then I was like, what? It was this crazy aha moment. But anyways,
Oh, absolutely. That's why I start writing those books because when I was traveling all over the US, the same conversations kept coming up about the same things. all the time. And it's like, put them in a book. Then I wrote the crypto book, and we have Josh from West America. Is that you, Josh, or is it someone else?
It's me. How you doing, buddy?
It's going. How are you?
Not too bad, man. Let's do a quick sound check. I'll have you start, Magnus. Go ahead and count back from 5.
Sure. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Sounds
5,
good.
4,
And then
3, 2, 1, 0. I'll do 2.
Randy, one more time for me. Sorry.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Thank you very much. All right, we should be good to go, gentlemen. Just friendly reminder: if your cell phone's anywhere nearby, make sure it's on airplane mode or silent, because vibrate will get picked up by the microphones.
Okay.
I actually sleep with so when it like 8 o'clock, I go to bed early. I get up super early, but I always shut my Wi-Fi and I put my phone on airplane mode. So like I won't wake up until I turn my phone and Wi-Fi on at like about 7 in the morning after I've done my meditation, everything like that. I get no messages. So I'm just like, I always shut. I spend more hours of the day with my phone completely inaccessible than not. And you wouldn't believe how nice it is.
Wow.
It's 8 o'clock, airplane mode, phone off. Nobody can reach me until I want to be right. And then you get up, you hydrate, you meditate, you exercise, and then you turn your phone on. Then if you get a message and it's a little bit off, you're like, I'm ready for this. But you wake up and you're like, peeling sleep out of your eyes, and you're like, wake up to a bad, throws your whole day off. It's like, yeah, I got into that like a year ago, and it's like changed my life dramatically, because now you start the day on your terms, right?
About 1 minute, we'll be live.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's
1 minute.
that's
Okay.
cool. It's coming fast. Oh, and I already have it recording, so we don't have to edit that out later. So we're good.
All right, gentlemen, got about 15 seconds. Once you hear that music, we will be live.
Okay.
All right.
Welcome to Making More Money for You with Magnus Carter. Whether you feel that you don't have enough money to start investing or are under the preconceived notion that investing is only for the wealthy, Magnus and his expert guests are here to help you. Now here is your host, Magnus Carter.
Good day, everybody. Welcome to the Making More Money for You show. I'm your host, Magnus Carter. I want to give a special shout out to Shelly Howard from last week's show, Got Money for College. It was a super hit, and it will be out there for like ever now. Shelly did a great job explaining so many ins and outs of what her company College Plan Ready does. College Ready Plan does. And, reach out to her if you want to start cutting that financial tuition bill now before you actually step foot in college. Plus, if you look in the description, you can download her book, and it's still out there, and it's streaming all over the internet on all your major platforms and on voiceamerica.com. Well, this week we have a very special guest. This show is all about getting your kids interested in investing and teaching them early on in life on how to actually make more money before they get out of high school. And with me to do that is I have Randy Kajawa here from Toilet Paper Hands. Welcome to the show, Randy.
What's up, everybody? Glad to be on here. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. So can you give us a little, I have your website up here. It is a phenomenal website. It's very funny. It's very kid friendly and adult friendly as well. But what made you go into these games and actually focusing on the youth and getting their knowledge up to par with investing?
Well, I guess maybe we can give a little bit of background, kind of how this all came about. And the creator and CEO, Alan Yubera, he can't be on the call today. He's got some other commitments, so he's like the CEO and creator. But What happened is like for myself, and I'll tell my own personal story, is I grew up in a small town in Canada, and like most Canadian small town people that lived in near Alberta, you went into oil and gas. That's just what it was. 2 decades ago, oil and gas was a great career. You could go directly out of school. You could go make what a doctor and a lawyer would make. You got to go out there on a drilling rig, you know, lift heavy stuff, put yourself in dangers, but it paid really, really well. And that's what most of us did. And it was great. So for the vast majority of 2 decades, it was a pretty good career. You show up to work, you got a good paycheck, and that's what it was. So back during the COVID time, I was actually working down in Colombia, and we were working on a unit down there. And I was working, prior to that, I was working over in Eastern Europe. So I had a pretty good oil and gas career. It's really what all I ever knew. So I had some friends that lives in Panama. I live in Panama right now, and they owned a resort. So I went to go visit them, and then all of a sudden the world just locked down. And I'm like, okay, well, number one, I'm stuck with my 2 best friends at a resort. Fantastic. This is great. I was like, what a perfect place when everything was getting a little bit weird. But in that time, in 8 months, I had a lot of time to sit and think and like, okay, well, like, is my oil and gas career going to be there when everything gets back to what we would call normal? We didn't even know what is normal going to be. Right. So for the 8 months that we had time to sit there, did a lot of research. And one of my friends, he was really big into the crypto for like 3 years before that. And he was always like, Randy, you got to get into crypto, So now that I'm sitting here and I got time to think, I'm like, well, you know, talk to me about this crypto thing, right? So I started to do some education. He kind of got me in, and that's when everything was really pretty much going up only. So I was really blessed. I got in a good time. But in that meantime, I started to research like, okay, well, if crypto's here, why is it here? Well, because the old monetary system and inflation really is a house of cards ready to fall, right? The way everything's going. But even at 38 years old, I didn't understand fully what inflation was. I thought if I have money in my savings account, I'll have it next year. Well, technically, if I have $100, I'll have $100 next year, but it won't be worth $100. And that was like a real like, what? Okay, so you know what I mean? So you have all this thing. When you realize that your money has less buying power, you're like, okay, I need to do something about this. So I'm one of these people that I really like education. I like picking up big, thick books. I like reading it. I like spending hours and weeks and months and all this time deep diving information, but most people don't. So in the process, so now I've had my big aha moment. There has to be and now I've left oil and gas. I'm gone full-time crypto. So I came into a project. I got involved into another project in another community, and I met this guy named Olin. Olin's just a gem. Sometimes, when you meet a human and you just like click, you're like, okay, man, I get you. You get me. This is going to work out. Like, what do you got going on? Well, he was a penny stock trader, and he was into real estate. So he was doing penny stocks for over 20 years. So he, at the time, he had a 5-year-old kid, and his kid's 6 now. So what he did is he was in this penny stock trading group, and there was actually an event where somebody in his group had bought something. He was pumping a project in one chat, and then he was like selling it in another chat. And he's like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, you basically shorted him. He's like, why are you telling me to buy it in this chat, but you're dumping it in this chat? So at the time, Wall Street Bets was like really a big thing, right? All the lingo, the YOLO, the aping in, the everything was the paper hands, the diamond hands. And, Wall Street Bets has like 12 million people following it. Wall Street Bets is really big. So the lingo is really popular. So it was also kind of right around the time of the toilet paper crisis because the whole COVID. So he was doing this. So he's like, dude, you don't even have paper hands. You have toilet paper hands. So he went and he found this guy on 99 Designs, and he got some t-shirts made that said toilet paper hands, and he got all these creative assets. So there was like 160 assets that he got, all these characters with all this lingo. And then he was like, he more or less just made the characters kind of like a joke, right? Just to like pass around his work and through his trading community and stuff like that. But he was in the penny stock world. Now, a penny stock trader is a different strategy than just a regular trader, right? You can't short it. There's certain things. There's just a different strategy. So he was like, when he was building his penny stock trading course and he had all these assets, his son was like, Dad, I want to be like you. Like, I want to learn like you. And he thought, well, why don't I just try to make this course? Why don't I try to like bring it back for kids? So that was kind of like the genesis, like the origin of this. The assets were created simply out of a joke. And then he was like, well, why don't I make something for kids? And then when him and I meshed at this other project, I was like, dude, I was like, at 38 years old, I realized I really didn't know what was going on. I'm like, why don't we try to like really focus on making education? Now, here's the thing about education. It's really broad. It's a big topic and it's not fun to learn. And you don't even know where to start. So we're like, okay. And he's like, well, I got these cartoon characters and I'm making a trading course. And I'm like, dude, how cool would it be if there was like an American Dad or a Futurama or a Family Guy or a Simpsons that taught financial literacy? So that's kind of how this whole thing, we're like, okay, wait a minute. If we can make learning fun, because that's the thing, is if learning isn't fun, and it's not fun for most people. And number one, we're usually not taught it. So we're like, how are we going to do this? So he had an idea and we just kind of rolled this. So we're like, if we can take a fun approach, and right now, books, a lot of people don't have a big attention span. A lot of people don't want to pick up a book. Right. They want to watch a video. They don't even want to watch a whole video. They want to watch a short form video. And that's why if you look on like TikTok, like edutainment is huge. There's so much financial content on TikTok and you're only allowed a 1-minute video. So like everything is getting a little bit different the way we learn stuff. So that's kind of like how this toilet paper hands came about. And because like I realize even for myself, if at 38 years old, I don't understand even what inflation is. I don't understand that if my money's not going to be worth the same, I'm probably not an isolated case. Like, do you know who Tom Billio is? Like created, like he has impact theory, like Tom Billio.
He's very diversified. He's out there. He's been around for a very long time.
So he had a conversation with Anthony Pompliano. And he was like, okay, he's like, if anyone takes anything that I have to say, like he built $1 billion business out of his home, he sold Quest nutrition bars. Mm-hmm. He's like, I literally, until 8 months ago, he goes, I thought the government had a big bag of money. And he goes like, I didn't understand any of this. And he goes, if I can build $1 billion business and I know how to make money, but I don't understand what is money. Maybe it was he said it was his like arrogance or whatever you want to call it, naivety. There's a lot of people out there that know how to make it, but they don't know what it is. And I think when we start to know what it is, because essentially money is just a game. Mm-hmm. And there's one rule to the game. It's worth less in the future. So if you know that there's really only one rule to the game, and I think this is where a lot of people, if they were taught the number one rule. So if you know that it's going to be worth less next in the future, you're going to either A, invest it to have it worth more in the future, or if you're going to buy something, you're probably going to get it now because you're going to have better buying power with it.
Exactly.
So you're going to get something. So, but the problem is, my grandfather used to give me some info when I was a little kid. He said, Randy, it's not the amount of money you make, it's the amount of money you save. Well, that was the rules in his era, but the rules changed.
Yeah, those rules don't apply anymore, anywhere. It's more or less how is your money going to make money for you now?
Yeah, but most people don't teach that, right? Most people, 50% of Americans don't have an investable asset. They don't have their money working for them. And it's not that they're unintelligent. They're just unaware of the rules of the game. So I think if we can just start to teach people, and you need to be able to approach people in a different way. And what's a better way to learn other than through a cartoon character? Because if you're trying to people learn through stories, right? But most people, when it comes to money, and I think maybe you may or may not agree, is the money story you have to learn. You usually have to learn it on your own. And your story is, you might have to lose it. And that sucks. So if I got to learn my own story and have my struggles, well, it'd be a lot cooler if I could just watch somebody else, preferably a cartoon character, have the struggles and then just don't do that.
Yeah. Or find someone else or a mentor, like we were talking about way earlier, is mentors will tell us, it's like, okay, I made these mistakes. Don't do this. This is what's going to happen. But you're right. We're not taught this in school. We're not taught this by our peers. We're not taught. Our parents everything's changing with our parents because our parents are trying to get everything situated so we have things for right then and there, but not for the future. They're just mainly getting through the day-to-day stuff.
Well, exactly. Like, well, my grandfather taught my parents, and my parents taught me. And my grandfather's advice to my dad was save money,
Yeah.
and that was what he taught me. Like, the thing is if because today and everything's changing so rapidly. If somebody's like, you hear people talking, I don't want to talk about money to my kids at the dinner. Do that. Well, that's probably just you saying you don't know what you're talking about. And you don't want to sound dumb to your kids. And that's the reality is most people simply don't know. And why would they want to go teach their kids when they don't know what they're talking about? Or if some people were come up from a rich family, they simply don't know how their family got money. Maybe they came from a good family. Maybe it was inherited. And once again, that's another bad thing too. Let's talk about money. Oh, well, it's just there. If you don't really understand it, that's a real dangerous thing. So the number one ticket to financial success, it's not the money, it's not the everything, it's the education. And it's the mindset behind it. And everyone's like, we just got to start teaching more people. Like, just about 80% of the world is financially illiterate, and that's scary.
That's very scary because the people that don't have the literacy, as we're talking about, or the education to do it, are the TikTok video people, the people like movie stars and even sports athletes and whatnot. They have all this money. By the time when they're done what they're doing with it, or their careers are done, they're broke again, or they're even worse, they're in debt so much that they can't get out of it.
Totally. And you look at a lottery winner, and what is it, 70% of lottery winners end up like filing for bankruptcy, or it's some crazy number. Like, pretty much people that if you give them an unlimited amount of money, it's going to make their life worse. And they're like, oh, if I had money, it would make everything better. And it just doesn't work like that. And this is simply it. And I think if we start to focus on educating the children, and at a very young age. So I'm a stepdad now, so I'm in a relationship, and I got a 12-year-old stepkid, and he ended up he got some money, and it was a couple $100, and he was like, let's go to the mall. And he's like, what do I do with the money? So old me would have been like, go spend it, who cares, right? You know what I mean?
You're right.
But new me was like, okay, well, how about this? We're gonna take half of it, and you're going to put 30% to investments, and you're going to put 20% in savings, and then you're going to give away 10%. And you're going to donate it, right? Because if we can start to, the thing about is we can't receive money with our hands closed. So if you learn to give, you're opening that channel. And I think a lot of people don't really understand the importance of donation. So I was like, yeah, man, for sure. Let's tuck 30% away and to get something to working for you. Put 20% in a savings account, donate 10% of it, pick something that makes you happy. And then just go buy it, spend the other 50%. And that was such a cool feeling for me, because I'm like, I actually gave good advice. And I'm like, I didn't realize it until I came into this new situation. I'm like, man, and it was such this wow moment. I'm like, if my parents would have done that for me, like, obviously I'm very blessed because of all the struggles and everything I had have got me to here today. Like, I am the person I am today because of my struggles, because of my lessons and everything. I would never want to undo that. But like, man, if they would have planted that seed, like put half away, for 20 years in the oil and gas career, I'd be in a much different situation just with everything, right? Some of the struggles I might not have had to have. And this is it. If we just teach our kids it doesn't take, you don't need to teach them, but you need to teach them the basic things, the simple, right? Like,
well, even the simplistic things are changing right now, because we're going to a paperless and we're going to a credit card and credit based things and touchless payment systems. We're losing touch with the reality of actually handing money over to people, and to actually taking that account, it's coming out of somewhere and going to somewhere. It's just, oh, okay, I'm just going to do this, and if it goes through, great. If it doesn't go through, it's like, okay, I won't get it.
Yeah,
we're in that now.
No, exactly. It's an exciting time. I think it's a very, very exciting time that we're living in because there's such rapid change happening.
Mhm.
So, and this was it too. So this is why we really wanted to also focus on going into e-learning, because people are learning from home, and because especially with this new, the way, if we look at life even 3 years ago to now, it's drastically different, especially when it comes to financial information. So e-learning is probably going to be one of the biggest sectors and one of the biggest, because it's ever changing, it's ever evolving. You need to always be updating it. Like I love the books you wrote. I love
thank you.
everything you got going on in your books. That's great. But like right now, so say I was going to go write a book. By the time I would write a book, get it, find a publisher, get it published, the information would probably be out of date. Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like things are going such a rapid pace that if I was to start something now, it's like, okay, so this is why I think looking online, everyone's wanting to go online, and for the whole metaverse thing, people wanted to go learn there. I just don't think we're nearly ready there yet for mass adoption. I think we need to learn to. I
It's
think the
coming.
vision. I think the vision. I think the idea is really, really great. But for the idea of all us of having headsets on right now, let's step it back a little bit.
Well, it's not really the headsets that we have. We have the second best thing and everybody is glued to it, is our cell phones.
Yeah.
We don't need those Google glasses anymore that they came out with. We don't
Yeah.
need that. All we have to do is we just look down on our phone, it's there, and the speed's that fast. It's like, okay, we get tired when it takes 15 seconds for a page to load. Oh, I typed this into Google. I want to find out where I need to go, and it didn't come up right away. We get very upset about that.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
It's a different world. I was talking to my kid too, and I was like, dude, when I was his age, like I lived on a farm in Canada, and I didn't have a neighbor within 5 miles of me. Like, and if I didn't have a friend, I threw a ball at the wall. I threw a rubber ball. I went to the barn and I threw the ball and it bounced back at me. That's like what I did. He's like, I have nothing to do. I'm bored. I'm like, dude, you have like your phone, you have a smartphone, you have a computer, you have chat groups, you have Discord. You're styling. I'm like, you got so much to do. You don't even know what the definition of bored is yet.
It's that overwhelming that it becomes bored. It's like,
Well,
it's that choice thing. It's like, well, do I want to put the time for this? Do I want time for that? Do I have it's overloading of choices now. And with
Well-
our attention spans going as short as they are now, like we were saying with the 1 minute TikTok videos, if that video the next video doesn't load, it gets skipped.
yeah,
Gets
totally.
skipped.
So we with so let's rewind it back to the project here.
Absolutely.
So I could talk on this for days. But so initially, like right now we have our website. We have toiletpaperhands.com.
Right.
We have, how it initially worked is we have 16 12-minute episodes. So there's 16 episodes per season. We have all the 16 episodes written. We have the first 12-minute episode done. So the first episode's done in animation. So I have that there. I'm not going to be sharing that. But then the very first episode, they talked about shorting. And so we did a pilot test with a group of people, a group of like 14 to 15-year-olds, and it was too advanced. They were like, we don't really understand. You're talking about shorting, stuff like this. So we're like, okay, cool. Why not this? In the meantime, while we're getting this animation, or we wanted to get the animation in production, why don't we create free courses? Just simple. Let's get you up to speed. So we have six different courses, and there's 6 lessons in each course. And each one of them is about 5 to 7 minutes. And it's just like the first one, what is money? So there's 6 episodes or 6 classes to get you on, just teach you what is money. We're trying to break it down, trying to have it very, very simple to learn. But we were like, okay, we're looking at the model of this. And once again, with YouTube is a search engine.
Mhm.
TikTok is a search engine. If you're like, what is money? You go into one of these things, right? Google's not even the biggest search engine. Well, it is the biggest
It's
search
so
engine,
big,
but
it's
I
not-
would say it's probably not the most used when it comes to people searching for information. So we're like, okay, how is this project really going to be like a vertical growth model? So we're like, we need to take a bit of a pivot at this point. Because right now, our website, while it's good, while it's entertaining, while it's fun, it's really a Web 1 website. And what is a Web 1 website? It's just like you go there and, if we were to go sell courses or to have downloadable courses, you go to the website, it's just you and the site, you get your stuff, and then that's it. It's kind of cold, right? It's the Web 1. Web 2, at least you can engage, like an Instagram or a Facebook. But then you go Web 3. Now you're starting to really talk about community, because there's a lot of different things. So we're like, with the ever-changing world and the way everything's are going, we want to go just pivot hard directly to a Web 3 approach. So we're like, okay, we might be a little bit early in some aspects. But if we go to spend we spent the last year creating this whole foundation of how we want to have this going. But if we're a Web 1 site, and we're doing what everybody else has kind of already been doing, it's not really going to go and get the traction. Let's face it, like public school systems aren't going to run and go scoop this up, because the public school systems are really not about, let's go teach, you know what I mean? That's like a massive uphill battle. So we're like, So what we've done, we're going to have a pivot direction. So toilet paper hands is always going to be toilet paper hands. Like I had a career fair. It was a startup company, and where I was pitching my startup. So I had like these.
Cannot hear you, Randy.
Come on, a little closer.
So we got these. We got these. I got these cutouts made. So we have these fun characters. We have this animation. We have this branding. So we're gonna go and we're gonna pivot into Tradesville. And now, What is Tradesville? Tradesville was the city, or is the city, that Toilet Paper Hands animation is in. And what's a city? A city is a community of people, right?
Right.
So if I live in Panama City, everyone in and around me, it's essentially a community of people. So we wanted to go, and Web3 is all about community. And we want to be able to create a very different community. So our first utility, we're going to be pivoting into Tradesville. Now, I can't really get into too much details, but we're taking a direct Web3 approach. So now, just like stuff like Instagram and stuff like Facebook, there's that back and forth. There's that engagement. So we want to be, our plan is, we kind of want to be like almost like a news aggregator, but an educational content aggregator. So we want to be able to have a community where what we do is we encourage other good content providers with educational services to come, but we're going to have a couple in-app utilities that's going to be able to level up. So one of the major problems unfortunately, is anyone trying to go and sell a service or sell an education or something like that, how do we know the education's real? How do we know what's really up to date, right? There's no real, other than buying the course and going through it, there's no real verifiable proof. So we figured out something where we're like, okay, this is going to be interesting. We want to be able to bring everyone there, but we want everyone to be able to communicate and chat and kind of verify and validate everyone's educational knowledge, experience, credentials, and stuff like this. So we thought Toilet Paper Hands is going to be the brand. It's always going to be there. We're going to have a cool ass. It's like a Simpsons, like a Family Guy, right?
Like Springfield. We're gonna go into that city, like Sim City or whatever that area.
Yeah, exactly. Right. This is where all these people hang out, and this is where like every business in there is an investment opportunity, and that's how the animation was structured. But so we're getting away from like our initial plan, because we realized, we're like, man, by the time we get this thing going, it's already going to be outdated. Like, let's look forward. So we're really, really excited about going directly hard to a Web3 approach. Now, our financial, our basic fundamental principles of financial literacy, we're still going to have that there. So this is going to cater to, if you're 6 to 12, you're 12 to 18, you're 18 to 36, you're 36 to 55, or you're 55 to 95, right? We're going to be able to have a little bit of everything for everyone, but everyone's going to be part of a community, and there's going to be different community areas you can hang out in that's going to fit kind of where you're at, right? Did I notice something in the chat here?
Yeah, we're actually getting close to a break time. So,
Okay.
The first half of the show already flew by so fast. So we have so much content about what you're working with Toilet Paper Hands is working with, and you're right, we have to actually get the information to people that are actually going to sit there and look at it. not just, scroll past it. It's like, oh, okay, I'm going to browse this. It's going to be there. Actually something to draw people in, like you're saying, like
Something that's going to, you need to ask yourself this: would somebody come hang out at my site on a Saturday afternoon because they want to? Or are they going to have to sit there on a Monday morning because it's forced down their throat in a classroom? The odds are, if you can find something that somebody would be excited to hang out on a Saturday afternoon from their cell phone, do it on their own time, now you're going to have something that's going to grow. If you got to have something that's going to be pushed in the school system, it's not going to fly. No one's going to enjoy it. They're going to struggle through it, right? So we want to make learning fun. We want to make a real community aspect. We want to make something so different where you're like, people are pumped to be in there. You're like, yeah, okay, cool. I love it. I can engage. I'm part of this. And not only that, are you going to learn, and you're going to learn from good, credible people that are going to be verified within there. That's our goal now, is we want to be able to just be a hub where it's like, it's cool to hang out here. And there's going to be lots of in-app utilities using this Web3 model. We're going to be utilizing how NFTs can be done. Whether you're just going to verify that you've achieved a certain level of financial literacy, you're going to have an NFT. What's an NFT? It's an immutable blockchain, or it's a mutable record stamped on a blockchain.
Yep.
I have this. I cannot take this away. Like if you go and say you're in another country, in another part of the world, and I've achieved a certain level of, education. What if my government changes and my new government doesn't recognize that education? Now I'm hooped. So the nice thing about a blockchain is when you have it and you stamped and it's credible, nobody can take that. You own that. So we're starting to take the ownership back to ourselves. We can start to own our stuff, and not own it in it's mine, but you can verify, you can prove it. You're like, I've done this. Here's a proof. We can never undo this. And that's cool. So if we start to incentivize people to be able to want to level up and proof of ownership of the things they've done, now it's more exciting. Look at what I have. Look at my wallet. Look what I've achieved. All right, let's continue after the break.
You're right. Yeah, it's break time. And this is actually a great place to stop for the moment. Everybody, this is Randy Kajawa. We are talking about toilet paper hands, the Tradesville, and teaching kids how to invest and way to get kids actually interested in investing. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to be right back.
You are clear.
Awesome.
There we go. Yeah, dude, we got some cool things. We got some super cool things. I can tell. We're off the air.
Yeah. Well, I can stop recording at the moment if you want.
No.
Yeah, we're off.
We're off the live feed.
We're off the live feed, but this will be on the YouTube.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So what we want to do is essentially in between us, we kind of want to create. You know how like DraftKings. Yeah.
You're listening to Making More Money for You with Magnus Carter. If you have any questions for Magnus or his guests, join us on the show at 866-472-5789. That's 866-472-5789. Now back to the show. Here is Magnus Carter.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Magnus Carter. This is the Making More Money for You show on Voice America Business. The first half of the show was completely insane with tons of so much content, and it you might have to listen to it maybe 2 or 3 times to get all the content out of this. We're trying to get Randy Kajawa and Toilet Paper Hands are developing a way to actually increase your child or youth and yourself financial literacy. Randy, welcome back to the show.
Hey, buddy. Cool. Yeah, it's been a good show. Sorry, I get very, very passionate. I mean, passionate is probably one of, it's like the Hulk. It's like, don't make me mad. It's like, for me, it's like, don't make me passionate. I like explode out of my chest. I'm just like super excited, but that's good. And I think really being passionate about financial literacy in general and starting with the youth is great. But the reality is that I think the majority of people throughout all ages, I think we skip the basics of the fundamental principles of what's sound investing. What is a goal? What is income to expenses? What is budgeting? What is all this? It's like, well, if I make this and I'm spending this, if you're spending more than you're making, but yet you're doing certain things, you're really going to fight an uphill battle the majority of your life. And we are really just want to, while it's okay to go and like dive deep into Bitcoin and, start teaching the technicals on that, let's tone it back a little bit. Let's just rein it back. Let's make sure that what we're going to be doing is that we're going to be teaching you just what are the steps. You don't have to dwell on it for a long time, but do you understand the simple, if I make this money and I'm spending this money, if this is more than this, I'm never going to get ahead. If I make more money, now you start to budget a little bit off. What do you do with the little bit of budget? Okay, well, I have a little bit of a savings. Well, what am I going to do with a little bit of savings? I got to get a little bit working for me. So now what do? You start to make sound investments.
Right.
So what is a sound investment? A sound investment means you've done the research on the thing you're investing in. If somebody's like, yo, bro, I got this thing, it's going up always forever, and you put all your money into that and it goes down, that's not sound investing.
That's not.
But that's how people in crypto invest.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's how I got into crypto. Is my friend was like, he made a lot of money really quick. And he's like, dude, do this, this, and this, and you'll make a lot of money. And I did. And I was like, wow. And then things went down. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. So it was all right. I was still in the green, but I got in at a good time. You know, obviously they were pumping a bunch of money into the economy. Everything was going up. Didn't matter what you did. You just close your eyes and you picked it, and it was going up for a long time at a pretty rapid pace. So that was good for me to see that. And then it was good for me to lose a lot of that, because I was like, okay, now I got to be smart. What's being smart? You're going to need to start to understand. So that's kind of what we really want to do. But then we were thinking for like, okay, as a project, what are we doing with Toilet Paper Hands and for Tradesville, our first utility? What's our first utility? We want to be able to, like I was trying to explain, is if somebody's at home on a Saturday afternoon and they're like, I want to go hang out in Tradesville today, and I'm going to look on my phone. I'm like, or I'm going to get up and I'm going to check out what's going on in the Tradesville community. Now we're going to have something. So we need to be able to find a utility. We need to be able to find a reason for people to want to come and be where we are. And this is where we want to be able to create a hub, a community where like-minded content creators, educational providers, people that want to learn in a little bit different manner. Plus, we're going to have a couple other things. I can't really touch on that right now.
Okay.
We're redefining our white paper. We're going to be coming out very soon with a new white paper. Now, also for some other people that are looking for investment opportunities, when we do come out with another white paper and we do come out, what we're going to do is we're going to open up a small seed round for a sale, because obviously with some new startup companies, there's going to be opportunities to get into newer projects. So for me, my name is Randy Kajawa. I'm on LinkedIn. If after this, we can touch on this a little bit later. If you guys are interested, follow my LinkedIn. And what we do is when we go to open up for this next seed round, whenever that may be, it's not going to be tomorrow, but it's going to be fairly soon. We're going to have a new direction. If you guys think that education, e-learning, Web3 world is probably a market that's going to be a good emerging market, hit me up. Let's have a bit of a chat, because it's really where the direction's going, and we're pretty excited about bringing a different utility. And that's the word utility is really lacking a lot in the crypto space, because it's a speculative market. A lot of things are speculation, right? X project is going to do X thing, and I'm investing into this, speculating it's going to do this.
Right.
But the crypto market is so new that most of the speculation, they haven't gotten any utility. Most of the things are still ideas. A lot of stuff is still at the white paper stage. It's true, right? Like, there's very few. I shouldn't say very few, but out of the 20,000 cryptocurrency projects, there's a lot of them are just still ideas that are a long ways away. So what we want to do is we want to be able to bring something to market fast that has utility. What is utility? That means it has a function. It's going to work right away, and it's going to work. So if we can have education where we're hitting all targets, where we're trying to be something different, yes, we're pretty excited. I wish I could tell you a little bit more, but I can't right now.
Well, we'll have to have you on later on once this actually everything starts being settled. The white papers are published. We'll talk about that after the show. Love to have you back on.
And I mentioned crypto a lot. Don't think this is all just crypto.
No,
because there's a whole other world out there too. There's your traditional investing, there's your options, there's real estate, there's a lot of things. So one of the very first utilities we bring out is going to do ... But we had different utilities for different things. So we want to essentially, when we really, really kick the can around and we sat there and we're like, okay, what do we want this new direction to be? We want to have a vertical business growth model. What does that mean? We're not limiting ourselves to just crypto. We're not limiting ourselves to this. But when you're talking about education and up-to-date education, and there's so many things you can do within there, there is a really, really good vertical business growth model, because you can always branch out to different things. But if your fundamental principles is you're starting out, you're like, what is the goal of this project? We want to help people have a better chance of success at life. That is our principle. Our principle isn't, let's go start, thinking about things we want to buy in the future from all the money we make. That's not why this was created. No. This was simply created to make the world a better place. Because if you help others in the universe, like the universe hears your intentions, it hears your thoughts. If you're thinking something with an ill intention, it's probably going to have a negative effect. But if your primary intention is just to try to help the world understand and be more successful, the universe hears that, and it's all going to work out. So it's like, it's a lot of fun working on this project. It's like, it's super fun. And I never understood what the whole term is. Do something you love and it won't seem like work. Like we work 7 days a week, but it's not work because it's exciting. I was gonna say the F word, but I don't know what we can on this. But it's really exciting. Like when you wake up and you're like, man, what am I gonna do today? I'm gonna try to help other people be more successful in life. That's a pretty cool vision. Like I worked in oil and gas for 20 years. I drilled holes in the earth and I mixed mud and I pulled crude oil out and natural gas, and I did all that, and it was cool. It was fun. But now I'm like, man, there's a way bigger purpose out there, and it's going to be super cool when we get this launch, and we're going to start to be able to see, you're going to start to be able to get some metrics to be like, what are people learning? How are their lives? Like we want to also incorporate the NFT aspect through a social media platform within our own app. Okay. And you're going to start to be able to hear this. Because of this education, I've achieved this. Because of this education, I've done this, this, and this. I think that ripple effect down the road is going to be super, super exciting. It's going to be super gratifying.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to seeing what that's going to entail and what the future holds. But before we get to that, let's go over some of the characters that are in Tradesville. So a lot of people they've seen the website, or they're actually just starting to hear about the website. Let's go over to what the actual characters are and how they're going to actually interact, and what are we going to get from them?
Well, every story, you got a hero, you got a villain, you got everything. So how it works out, Flush, he's the main character. He's just trying to make it in life, man. He's at a job. He's not really happy. He's not really growing, but he wants to learn how to be a trader. And then you got this guy, Bear. Bear's like, he's the bad guy. He's always putting him into bad situations. And every time he's trying to get ahead, Bear kicks him back down. So he's like, oh man, like there's got to be a better way. And then his best friend, Jules is like, dude, Flush, like, have you heard of this guy named Diamond Hands? And he's like, who's Diamond Hands? He's like, oh, I heard he lives on the top of a mountain and you should go. And so Flush, he runs out, and this is all in the first episode. So Flush climbs for like a week to get up this mountain, and he finds this guy.
Oh, yep.
Diamond Hands. And Diamond Hands, he's like the guru. He's made it. He leveled off the top of a mountain for his mansion. And he's like, hey man, can you teach me the secrets of trading? And he's like, I don't know, man, you're not ready. Like, go back home. He's like, dude, I just walked up a mountain. Like, I just spent 7 days. He's like, well, you walked up here? He's like, I took my helicopter. And he's like, okay, well, if you want, he's like, if you walked up here, are you ready for this? So he goes and he teaches them. And in the first episode, he teaches them fundamental principles. He teaches them the importance of building a foundation, doing the research, doing your homework, and understanding what you're getting into. And that's the whole thing. So the storyline starts off, Flushy's struggling, and he wants to make it. So this journey through all of these episodes, you're following Flush in his journey. And it's a lot easier to learn on a journey from a character that's going through these things. And he makes some good decisions and he makes some bad decisions. And I can't give one of the, there's something in the thing. I can't really like spoil the animation. I can't give like the whole teaser alert.
Okay.
But so it's just him just trying to get along. And so what he does is by the end, so the first part of the episodes, it's just him understanding just to learn what is a good business, you know, what is a good investment, you know, how to hold, how to do your proper research, how to not. And another thing too, let's touch a little bit on this. We talk about healthy habits and, you know,
Right.
just the healthy habits, whether it is eating consistently, doing exercise, doing all these things. If you have a healthier habits, you're probably going to be less emotionally charged. And when we're talking about investments, emotions are a real, emotions drive the market, right? If it was just a simple
Right.
numbers, stock goes up, does this, then people would just figure an algorithm, make a bot, and everyone would be trillionaires. But it's not, because you have
No.
a human emotion in there. And it is really tough when things are going up. It is really hard not to want to buy when they're going up. And when they're going down, people panic and they sell. And that's it. And it should be the other way around. It should be things going down. You see an opportunity. Things go up. You should be taking profits. You should have a plan. People don't have a plan. So the characters, you got Flush, main character. You got Bear, he's the bad guy. You got Mr. Gaines. There's a guy named Rami in there. I'm not going to get into what Rami is, but by the end of the 16 episodes, Flush, he's learned enough that he's taking the big step, and he's financially independent and he's going to leave his job. And so kind of the end of the first season, he's left his job and now he's going to go be a full-time trader. So you're trying to watch these journeys throughout the way. And what's really cool too is how we structure this is because each episode is 12 minutes. You cannot, and I will repeat, you cannot teach something in 12 minutes, but you can get people thinking. So if the one episode he goes to buy something and he bought it last year and he can't buy it this year because the price went up. And he's like, well, I bought it. So that's where he teaches about inflation. So each episode is strategically and specifically designed to get you thinking. Now, when you get you thinking, then you can start to do your own research. And this is where we wanted to have it, where the animation provokes thought, and provokes curiosity, and it gets you intrigued, it gets you interested. So when you start to get attached to the storyline, and each episode just touches a little bit on a different topic, gets you thinking about it. Well, get you thinking about it, then what you do, you go into Tradesville and you find out about, and then you start to research, you start to get your education there. So the animation is it's the IP, it's the Simpsons, it's a Family Guy. So you watch the episode now. Go ahead.
Well, you're actually thinking about, I'm going to date myself a little bit here, and I know you've probably seen the series, is The Matrix. The Matrix did this very well because you had the movies, you had the video game, you had the Animatrix, and then you had the other video game. The computer game was different than the each console game was different, and they gave you different variations of it. And what you're doing is doing that right here.
Right.
So that's impressive.
Well, it gets you thinking, right? Because that's the thing, is if you can get you thinking, and the problem is we don't think about this stuff. And if I got to go pick up a big thick book and start to read and start to study this, most people don't get interested by that. Most people get interested with video. So if we do the cartoon thing, so that's why we want to do it. Now, our first utility will not be the animation.
Okay.
You'll get that. But we already have our pilot. We already have an idea. We have a concept. We have everything going. So we have a proof of concept to show you this is what it is. The animation, because animation it's time intensive, it's costly. There's a lot of things going on to it. So we're like, okay, well, as a business, as a vertical business growth model, what is going to be able to go and generate revenue to be able to do this? So we came up with a utility that is going to be very value packed, very educational packed. It's going to be very community driven. And that's going to help kind of fuel and get this engine running here right away. But with the 12-minute episode, because it makes you think, that's going to be the fun part. And it's also going to be another thing where if a parent, say, I'm 40 years old now, but say I had a kid, say I got my 12-year-old, right? Well, he's 13 now. And if I want him to learn about something and he's cool with sitting down and watching a cartoon, but say, I don't really understand stuff, it's a very, very nice way to be like, hey, let's have some father-son time. Let's go watch an animation. But that's me saying like, okay, cool. Well, I get to learn something because I don't know what I'm doing. Because if my kid's starting to learn more than me, that's going to be a scary situation. So it's going to be a really nice, subtle way for the people who don't really understand it themselves to learn with their kid, because it's going to get them thinking too. And now, whether they want to go in deep dive, so that's when you go, and no matter what age you're at, I was 38 and I had a successful career and I didn't know money devalued. And I'm not an isolated case. You know, I think I got a pretty good head on my shoulders, intelligent and stuff like this, but just I never came into a situation where I had to understand or learn that. So we want to be able to teach that. So what we're doing, we're having a thought-provoking animation. It's something different. It's short form. It's fun. It's interactive. Now what we want to do is we want to bring in the Tradesville. The Tradesville is a community. It's going to be the community driven. And we have a sense of community, just like a gym membership. I used to sell gym memberships. 18% of people that used to buy gym memberships would never ever use it. But people that went to group classes would go and they would last 5 years. 50% of people that went to group classes went for 5 years or more. Why? Community.
Yeah, they don't want to be the only one, because you're always trying to find someone to go to do these things with.
Yeah, and and that's where it is. There's no real educational hub. Everyone's really running a Web 1 educational service. I have a trading course. I have a thing. Go get my education here. Well, we want to go get education everywhere. We want to be that educational hub. So yeah, and the Web3 really allows the door to open for all of that. So, and then 2, with the NFTs, what I was talking about with NFTs is we now have proof of ownership. And if I hold an educational certificate and I've achieved that and I get a stamp on the blockchain that says I've achieved that, I own that. I'm proud of that. If I'm a kid and I'm like, hey man, what'd you do this weekend? Oh, I got 3 different NFTs because I learned some more stuff, and you get a cool picture and you own it. Like, you're proud of that, right? I think in the future, like, you know, kind of how we all had our collectible things as a kid, I think our NFT wallets are going to be like hey man, what do you got? Show me your wallet. And you're just you know, kids are going to be scrolling through their wallet, whether it be a trading card game, whether it be an educational certificate, all of these things. Blockchain is just allowing that. Yeah, I own that. And for a lot of people that don't really understand how or what an NFT is, the Eiffel Tower, there's only one Eiffel Tower. So if there was an Eiffel Tower on the blockchain, it would be Eiffel Tower 0001.
Right.
Everyone else can make an Eiffel Tower, but no one's going to have the original. All a blockchain is doing is just saying, yeah, that's the original. So it has a piece of code in there that says, here's the original and I own it. And that's about it. So, but this is where education, I think, is really going to be going, is because it's going to be able to prove, and it's like a sense of gratification too. I've achieved this. I got a certificate. Well, you know, now you can make certificates fun, engaging. You can have different utilities. Exactly. Okay, well, I've achieved, like a video game. You unlock a different level, you get to have different access to certain things because of the level you're in. That's where another thing, we want to really incorporate. The more you learn, the different access you're going to have to different utilities within our platform. It's going to be a different reward system. What do you do? Well, I get to be in here because I did this, and this. So like, that's where it's really exciting. We're really excited about this pivot. We're really excited about the future. Well, I'm excited about everything.
Yeah, and it also brings out our competitive edge. People love to compete.
Absolutely. And if you can have a leaderboard that says, I've done this, or I'm on the top level, for sure, it's going to have people there. They're going to be like, what are you doing this Saturday afternoon? I'm going to hang out in Tradesville. I want to level up. I want to be the top of the leaderboard for my educational rewards, whatever, right? Like, you know, and that's where we're going to get into the further utilities. So, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Randy, we are at the end of the show already. I can't believe we flew through the hour. And what Tradesville is going to do, what you're doing, what your work with toilet paper hands is actually accomplishing, and you know, their roadmap is going to be incredible, especially for all these new kids out there, adults, anybody alike, and it's going to bring people together. It's going to be wonderful to see when it actually starts coming out.
Yeah,
So-
when we'll have the new roadmap and stuff coming together pretty shortly. I'll keep in touch. Obviously, we'll stay in touch on a personal level here, and then I'll keep you in the loop on that. Maybe we can come back on. I'll bring Olin on. We can talk about the roadmap for some of your investment community or whatnot as well.
Absolutely. I would love to have that happen. That would be a great show to have both of you on, to get his perspective and your perspective and see, and we can actually do the what's actually happening in the world and how it fits in. But until then, how can we get more knowledge about this from you, from Toilet Paper Hands? You know, where can we reach this stuff?
Just toiletpaperhands.com. You can find me, Randy Kajal, on LinkedIn. What I'll do is I'll email you our link tree,
Okay.
and then just that. So more or less right now, we're going to be going through a bit of a pivot, like I said. So things are going to be changing, but stay tuned to the site. But yeah, just toiletpaperhands.com. And you know what the cool thing about Toilet Paper Hands? When you hear it, you can't forget
You
it.
can't forget that. You can't unhear
Like
it.
you simply like, oh, I need to write that down. And no, you just won't forget that. So yeah, that's about it. I'll drop you my link here, and then yeah, just follow us there, and yeah, follow our socials, and yeah, we'll keep you updated. But we're really excited. What we're gonna bring, I think nobody else has done yet. And if they have it, they haven't. I'm excited.
Oh, I can't wait. It's been a great show. And, you know, that ends our show for this week. But next, that's going to lead up a little bit to next week's show is I actually have Charles Reed coming on, and we're going to talk about starting your business. He's former IRS. He used to work for the IRS and the tax and all that stuff. So next week for entrepreneurs, we're going to answer your questions on how to start up a company. You know, we're going to cover all that stuff and content next week. But until we get to next week, you know, go outside, enjoy this weather as it is it's already November. So before the holiday season gets in and stresses us all out, spend some time with the family and have a great weekend.
Cool. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Randy.
You are clear.
Awesome.
Great job, guys. We will talk to you next time.
All right, thanks, Josh.
Cool.
See you later. Wow.
Yeah, man.
Huh.
We're super excited because we're just like, you know, and it's still recording here.
Oh, let me hold on. I'll turn that off.
Yeah, I'll just have a